Hello, my name is David Lance. Recently, Dran Reese, president of the Salt and Light Council, was kind enough to invite me to share some information about a course I've created called Run Like Lincoln, The Art of Grassroots Politics. A video-based series of lessons with accompanying downloadable documents, the course is divided into 5 modules. As a sampling of this toolkit, which she intends to include in the Biblical Voter section of her website, Dran asked me to provide several sample lesson videos for your review from the course module called Get Out the Vote. This video is from Lesson 2 of my Get Out the Vote module. To explore Run Like Lincoln, The Art of Grassroots Politics, simply visit tinyurl.com/grassrootspolitics. Thanks so much, and God bless. Well, welcome back to Lesson 2 of the module, Get Out the Vote. In this lesson, we'll look at the topic of having a map and a calculator. The natural formation of the country is the soldier's best ally, but a power of estimating the adversary, of controlling the forces of victory, and of shrewdly calculating difficulties, dangers, and distances constitutes the test of a great general. He who knows these things, and in fighting puts his knowledge into best practice, will win his battles. From Sun Tzu, The Art of War, as edited by James Clavell, Dell Publishing, 1983. In this lesson, we look at the need to have a map of the district in which you are running, calculate voter turnout, and analyze voting trends. You must know where your voters are and calculate the vote totals you will need to win the election. States vary on the amount of voter information they make available online. You'll want to get access to vote results in previous elections. So one of the things that you can do is you can go to the Secretary of State's office for their online information. You can also look at the County Election Board. And once you have this information, you'll want to target the most important precincts. Which precincts have a high number of votes? Which precincts have a high conservative vote percentage? Have a calendar to plan out your election strategy. Another thing you'll need is to have a map. You may need to collect several maps. For example, the State House, the State Senate, Congressional District, the map of the county, the townships, the precinct map. For the best effect, identify those races that intersect key precincts and target those precincts. For example, in these 2 maps, we see the Indiana House District maps as they existed in 2012, as well as the U.S. House District maps for the same year. Let's say that you or the campaign you are working with is running for the 6th Congressional District in Indiana. In 2012, it was an open seat as Congressman Mike Pence left that district to run for the governor of the state of Indiana. On the left side of this slide is the 6th Congressional District map, enlarged so that we can see all 19 counties that lie within the district. Delaware County has the most populous city in the district, Muncie, Indiana. There are 12 townships in Delaware County as depicted in the map on the right. The largest is Center Township, which includes the city of Muncie. Depending on your campaign's resources, you may or may not be able to obtain a listing of all the precincts. Depending on where you live, recent demographic and voting information by precinct may be difficult to come by. However, again, depending on where you live, data for the township may be more readily available. For example, while some data is hard to obtain at the precinct level in Indiana, data at the township level is much more readily available. For example, there are 68,037 people living in Center Township in Muncie, Indiana. In the year 2010, 22% of voters turned out to vote. That would mean that about 14,968 people might be expected to vote in the 2012 election. This is the largest voter turnout estimate for all 199 townships in the 6th Congressional District in Indiana, and so we give it a rank of number 1. Notice that Vienna Township in Scott County ranks higher than Mount Pleasant Township in Delaware County, even though there are about 3,500 fewer people. That's because the voter turnout in Vienna Township is 31% compared to only 22% in Mount Pleasant Township. These 25 townships represent 96,900 potential voters. This is 54% of all potential voters in the district. In your campaign, you will want to target these townships and within them the top precincts within each township. Notice that the 3 Delaware County townships in this list constitute 19,600 voters. That's 19.9% of all the voters in these 25 townships. That's 11% of all voters in the congressional district. You can apply this sort of targeting in your race. The key is finding the data that you'll need. Thus, our plan should be to target our voters based on our analysis of the voting trends in both the primary and in the general election. There are 2 methods to analyze votes using what is called a ticket split analysis. You'll want to identify ticket splitters. These are people who split their tickets between candidates for either party, depending on the office. People who don't split their tickets are called straight ticket voters. There are 3 types of voters. One are saints. These are the people who vote for your candidate. The second are sinners. These are people who are their voters, that is, the voters for the other side. And then there are what we call savables. These are people who are willing to switch their vote depending on their view of the candidate running for that particular office. What we want to do is start by discovering the number of total votes cast in a recent statewide primary and general election. Then you want to identify a key statewide conservative candidate. You want to ask the question, what percentage of the vote did they get in this most recent election that you're looking at? Also, you want to use this information to rank precincts and townships and counties based on their voting record so that you can target your resources. For most states, voter data is available from your Secretary of State's office. Here is the election page for the Indiana Secretary of State's website. Let's look at the 2012 election, as this gives us a presidential campaign, a U.S. Senate campaign, and a governor's race that we can use to make some statistical comparisons. Depending on your campaign's resources, you may or may not be able to obtain a listing of all the precincts in your district. Depending on where you live, recent demographic and voting information by precinct may be difficult to come by. However, again, depending on where you live, data for the township may be more readily available. For example, while such data is hard to obtain at the precinct level in Indiana, data at the township level is much more readily available. Notice that Mitt Romney got 66% of the Republican vote in Indiana's primary held in May of 2012. Romney was the establishment candidate. But look at how the establishment candidate for U.S. Senate, the highly esteemed longtime incumbent Dick Lugar, did. The Tea Party supported the challenger, Richard Murdoch, who beat Richard Lugar by 59% to 41%. The question is, how can we calculate the percentage of people who will be willing to split their ticket and vote for our candidate apart from the party line? We can use something called ticket split analysis to do this. First, we need a key statewide candidate that is the party standard bearer. In 2012, that was Mitt Romney running for president. The strategy is to look at the percentage share of the Romney vote that Senator Lugar got and compare it to what it would have been if everyone who voted for Romney had also voted for Lugar. We know that Romney got 66% of the Republican vote, but Lugar only got 41%. If he had gotten the same share of the Republican vote as Romney had gotten, Lugar would have beaten Murdoch hands down. So, to calculate the ticket split vote, we first subtract the Lugar vote from the Romney vote. That's 410,635 minus 261,285, which equals a vote total of 149,350. Second, we divide that number by the sum of the votes of the two candidates. And so we divide 149,350 by the total of the 410,635 plus 261,285, When we make that division, we get 22.2%. Now, we know the TSP percentages for each precinct, township, and county. We can do this by making the same calculation over and over again, or any other geographical division that you choose. And when you do this, you will be in a better position to target your limited resources where you have the best chance of convincing those that might be swayed to split their ticket for your candidate. So, for example, in Dearborn County, the ticket split percentage is 46.8%, but in Hamilton County, it was only 15.6%. We can use ticket split analysis to see how people shifted their votes between parties, just as we did within parties when we get to looking at the general election. Here, we can use Governor Mike Pence, who ran for governor in Indiana as a Republican, as the main Republican vote-getter in Indiana to measure how many Republicans split their ticket and voted for the Democrat, Joseph Donnelly, running for U.S. Senate against Richard Murdoch. If you are a Tea Party supporter who is concerned about what might happen in the general election, this process can help you see where you will have the hardest time holding traditional GOP voters' loyalty so they will vote with your candidate when it counts. We can see that overall that people split their ticket between Governor Pence and Mr. Donnelly by about 5.9% statewide. But in Dearborn County, that was only a ticket split of 3.4%. But in Delaware County, remember that's the county that had the biggest vote turnout in the 6th Congressional District, ticket splitters in going from Mr. Pence to Mr. Donnelly was 11.7%. At this point, we want to suggest that you stop the video and with others in your campaign, discuss where do you go to get voter data in your state. Who are the statewide candidates that you should use for your state as a benchmark candidate? When you apply the techniques used in this lesson, what voting jurisdictions surface as your top targets? Discuss what you will need with others involved in the campaign. Thanks for watching this preview of my course, Run Like Lincoln, The Art of Grassroots Politics. To explore the entire course, simply visit tinyurl.com/grassrootspolitics. Thanks so much, and God bless.